if we sum up these discussions that we had about extracurriculars and personality development, we can try and sum up into 5 rules that you and me thinks can enhance our personality, and it is based on our experiences. So if I start, I will say, and anyways, these 5 rules are not in particular order. We think that all those 5 are important and they have helped us. And in hindsight, if we had improved on one of them, it could have helped us a lot.
Yeah, we are not
So
preaching. We are not preaching some knowledge or some gyan here, but yeah, all we can say is, at least for us, and like we being in a very, not volatile now. We are 25. We are not. You are in late 25. I'm in 25, but I would say
thank you for mentioning my age, Sanjay.
yeah. So I'm saying this has helped. Like these are all our, like, these are the mistakes, or you could be saying these are our experiences, which
So yeah, so these 5 the rules that we are going to mention, these are not the only rules, and these are just the necessary rules that we thought that can help anyone who wants to adopt it. So for the first rule, I think it is very important to join an association or a club which organizes events. So as we were talking about how the extracurriculars are important, how it can help in personality development. So having an or association or a club that can help you a lot in your time management, in your resource management, because whenever an association organizes an event, especially in our college days, it is a chaotic event. Everyone is doing, they don't know what they are doing, so it's a very chaos, and I have experienced it. But in that chaos, it is when you work in a team, you learn from your seniors, and also you get free attendance. So that's it's a win-win situation.
half of the people do it for that.
Yes.
Okay.
It's good that at least they have some motivation to do something.
Yeah, not to attend lectures. It's a good motivation. You're preaching.
It was one of mine as well. So
okay, yeah.
So yeah, and just to give you my story, so I started with I joined an association of my computer engineering department, and I started with design, even though I had no idea how to use Photoshop or Corel Draw. I just enrolled myself in design because that was the only position available. And even though I joined as a designer, I noticed that I was more participating in the organizational side and the logistical side of the event. So that's how I found out that I actually love organizing events, leading a team, and that's how I created a network with my seniors, and that's how they helped me in learning those extracurricular skills and those soft skills and those hard skills, and that helped me to finally become the president of that association. So yeah, that is very important to have some kind of association linked to your profile, because that will help you a lot in your corporate life.
Yeah, I agree.
So for the second rule, Sanjay, would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, the second one is the one which we discussed in detail. That is, firstly, to identify what, as I said, people should know what their strengths and weaknesses are. The first step starts to identification of their strengths and weaknesses, and then working on them. So now there could be 2 rules. You could be saying, okay, I'll first work on my weaknesses, and then I know what my strengths are, so I don't need to put much effort on them. And then there are the later ones who would say, okay, let me master my strength, and then it's not like I'm ignoring my weaknesses, but let me just first master my strength, and then I could go back and think about what my weaknesses are and start working on them. So there are 2 approaches on this, but this according to me is one of the most important thing in any career. It could be any career, because whether you are in arts, you're in commerce, you're in science, it doesn't matter. But firstly, you need to know. For example, you could be good in too much in technical skills, but you could lack in soft skills, or you could lack in public speaking, or sometimes even writing you could lack. So if you ask my personal experience, initially I lacked in writing a lot, because when I started writing even like for reports when I was doing my masters, and I saw, okay, I have this weakness for writing, which eventually you overcome by writing more. So your masters make you write a lot, so you eventually um, overcome that writing part. But it starts with firstly identifying what your strengths and weaknesses are. So
So for you, you would prefer to first know your strengths.
yeah, I'm the later one, so I would prefer mastering my strength.
I guess it's more subjective because for me, because I am more of a jack of all trades and master of none kind of guy. So I need to know that what are the things that I don't like, or what are the things that I am not good at, because I know that if I love some stream, I will find some strengths in each part of those streams. So I need to know what are the things which I just have no interest in. So like for example, in my computer engineering, even though I love computer engineering, I love software, I love data, I found out that I don't like hardware as much.
Yeah.
And it was a great discovery, and it was after I failed that exam. But that is the perfect example for me to know that even though I love computer engineering, there is a weakness that I don't like hardware side of it.
Yeah. As you said, that's correct. It's very subjective. People can have two different approaches. But as I said, the first point is, in the end, the first point is identify your strengths and weaknesses, and then you should just leave to the people and how they want to go about things, working on them. So, because people could have their own methods, right?
I remember that during our college days,
Yeah.
in our engineering days, we had one task to do SWOT analysis of answers. And at that time, I was like, what is this trivial marketing question? I'm not going to spend my time on doing this such a formality. Why should I do it?
Yeah.
But now if you look
I
at
remember we had a personality development class. As far as I remember.
Yes,
Yeah.
we used to have it,
Yeah.
in which I'm sure I don't think anybody.
No one, I guess I attended like 4 or 5 lectures out of the whole class, whole semester. But that's not a good example for others. But I'm just saying we just did that.
That's not an excuse for you to skip your classes.
Yeah, we could have actually learned in that class a lot.
Yes, but yeah. So as I said, that in hindsight, we found out that we could have learned a lot
Correct.
from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the third rule, I feel like it is very important for you to learn how to sell yourself, or how to sell an idea. In this world, it is very important to be good in communication, and it can take you a long way. So I feel like if you know how to construct your thoughts and how to explain it to someone who is listening, it is very important. And for me, one example is be an entrepreneur. Become an entrepreneur, pick an idea. It doesn't matter how big an idea it is, how difficult an idea, or even how stupid the idea is. Pick an idea and try to sell it. So for example, for me, I really wanted to do some kind of a venture, and I started with going to the shopkeepers, talking to them, and finding out what their problem is. And then I picked one idea, one solution. And even though I had no product at that time, I went to the shopkeepers and I tried to sell that idea, that product can actually help them. And when it comes to money, people get serious. So they actually give you the constructive feedback,
Right.
that how good it is. And it can make you think on the cuff, think on your feet, and be adaptive to the situation. So that is why, as it's a very cliched statement, like you must have heard that in interviews they ask you, sell me a pen, etc. But if you look at it at a macro level, it is more about how you can sell yourself as a product, or how you can sell an idea.
Yeah, I agree. You should, when I say sell yourself, it's not about selling your idea. It's more, as you said, constructive thoughts, and putting that together is something which I could more associate with learn to sell yourself. I could say there are a lot of times when there are certain things which are in our head, like there are ideas, there are different ideas which are in our head, and we don't necessarily, like for example, if you try to explain someone, the idea doesn't come out of our mouth the way it is in your head. So that's something I would associate with learn how to sell your idea. So for example, if you have an issue with some area in your job, and you know what the solution is, or you know what the problem is, but you're not able to communicate that problem firstly, like I would say they can also start working on it prior, because that's something which even sometimes even I lack. When I have to, for example, if you in civil engineering, you have a lot of ideas which could be easily conveyed on pen and paper, where you can just draw and easily convey. But if I have to write that in an email, and I have to convey that idea, sometimes it becomes a challenge, and that's where I realized, okay, that's the area where I really need to work on, where I know whatever problem is there in my head should be easily communicated through my words in an email. So
That is a
that I could also
that
say
is a
share.
big challenge.
Yeah. So that's something which I believe it's also a communication thing, which in your career, in your job, or anywhere.
You can notice, like, even if you're working in a project, in an assignment, for example, and you have 4 different people around you, and let's say that you all are brainstorming about any particular task, then stay focused and listen to how they are responding to your ideas. Are you able to communicate it correctly? That will depend on, are they actually listening to you, and are they adapting it as a whole. So that is how you can be that forceful,
Yeah.
and you can give out your idea in such a way that they can understand what you're trying to say. You can learn from small tasks, and by observing.
That's what I
that-
meant. Yeah.
Also, it comes with the knowledge as well. Like, you need to have enough knowledge
Correct.
of that
That's also a
particular
big
subject.
Yeah, that's also big. So for example, giving solutions also needs experience, I believe. As especially in my industry, I could say I could give solutions, but with proper not proper technical knowledge, it would be silly of me of providing solutions to people, and that's something which I have to be really careful when if I'm working, or if because I cannot provide false solutions. False solutions are much worse than providing any solution. So you have to have proper technical knowledge, and that's where gaining technical knowledge or learning more about your own profession and having that excitement to learn more about your own profession also comes into picture.
Yeah. So for the next rule, what do you think should be?
I think so. The next rule should be you should pick a hobby which is totally unrelated out of your mainstream work, because that will help you take out of what your mind out of your real work. Sometimes we are so caught up with the real world around our work, so we don't enough give time to our own personal development, and own personal development does not necessarily is correlated to your professional always. It is your profession is a part of your personal growth, but your extracurricular and your hobby also helps you in developing. Like you could, for example, you could be a fitness guy, and you'll be like, even that's a hobby, going to gym for an hour or two. But other than that, I would say music. It could be painting, it could be singing, it could be writing, which you do, I know. So that all helps you develop I would say sometimes patience. Like if you ask me personally, being in music, I was in music for almost like 10 to 14 years of my life, 14 years of my life, right from my childhood, and that taught me something which is so needed to me, which is patience.
It helps in stimulating your creative side.
Correct.
So you can write poems, you can
Correct.
start writing blogs, you can be involved in sports activities, like I was in football.
Yeah.
And or like Sanjay, you can be part of learning musical instrument. So it helps you in the creative side of your mind.
Yeah.
So, and that is very important for you to have in an overall development of your personality. And you remember you played tabla with the drums
Oh yeah,
in
yeah.
our cultural fest.
Yeah.
That was my idea, by the way. I proposed that idea to the
Yeah,
to the
thanks.
president.
Thanking you now after, I don't know, after 6 years.
Yeah. Actually, you saved that day, because at that day we didn't have any event to do. So actually, you saved us. Thank you.
It's okay. But yeah, that was actually a good thing. It also helped me, so in some way. Yeah.
And these kind of
Hob-
events actually gets rid of your stage fright.
Correct.
Like if you have some kind of a stage
Oh, I
fright
do.
on performing
But
in front of
yeah, people
so
won't
many people.
like some people won't believe that me being in music or things, I should not have stage fear. But stage fear I do have stage fear. Stage fear is something which I struggled till my masters actually. And to be frank, you don't even need like, yeah, we are talking about hobby, but sometimes even ACADS help you in stage fear, where you have to present something, or you have to present before few
Yes.
people, present before experts in your own field who have worked in for like 30 years, 35 years, and you are like a 22-year-old, and you are arguing on few stuff, or you are trying to explain them few stuff. That even that stage fear. So I actually like, it helped me a lot presenting there and answering their questions. Sometimes I know you fail, but the basis of failing is to learn more. That takes us to a next point, that is, you should like learn from your failures. That's like, don't take it as take it down.
That is our last rule, that you should turn your failures into a story of lesson learning events. So like my point is that everyone fails at some point of time, and it's not a taboo thing, or it's not a frowned upon thing. It should be something which you should look forward to. If you are failing, you shouldn't fail purposefully, like, don't get me wrong, but even if you do, make sure that you can mold your story to focus on the journey and not the result, right? So let's say that, for example, in my case, as I was talking before about the startup that I did to help the shopkeepers, it lasted only for 5 months, but at the end I had to make sure that what I learned from it, I can convey it to anyone who asks me. So now, even if in any interviews, even here in Paris, if I am giving an interview to a company, when they look in the CV, most of the time they want to know about those 5 months, what happened in those 5 months, what I learned from that. Even though I had other different extracurricular activities, even different experiences, they were more focused on talking about those, because those are the times when they can judge your characteristics, how you handled your failure, what you learned from it, and what are the things that you can improve, right?
So yeah, I would consider, say, you're correct, and that's where I will bring my point, saying failure shouldn't be treated as taboo. Like, that's something which generally all across, especially in India, I could say, failure is treated as taboo. That's something I struggled very, not even like in my college, but before that as well. I've struggled with that part. Not even failing in courses, even if you score less, that's also like kind of failure. You feel in your own, and then the whole there will be every person reminding you that you have failed. And failure is often like, that's what I said. But in like in Western world, like especially in America, even now, I would say, like, failure is not treated as taboo. It's treated as more as an opportunity to learn. That's where you learn. You should sit back and analyze where you went wrong, and where you could have improved, and you could prepare a good roadmap for ahead, saying, okay, I would not repeat this mistake ahead, which I essentially did.
Yeah, so just to sum up, everything, as I said, is your whole journey is just a story of your failures. How can you mention those failures? How to treat those failures? So at the end, I would say that be pragmatic, look at the bigger picture, and surround yourself with like-minded friends. That is very important. Yeah, and don't let your present failures ruin your ambitious future. So to end, thank you for listening to us. And last but not the least, if you love our podcast, if you liked what we discussed about, please share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel. And thank you, Sanjay, for discussing and sharing your views.
Yeah. Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you, guys, and see you in the next podcast.
Yeah. See you guys.